Okay, sorry about the bedhead. As I always say, this isn't a hairdo, it's a hair don't. I'm up early. I was up early. It's not early anymore. It's 8 o'clock almost, damn near 8 o'clock. And I was up all night going through some advice from my Canadian buddy on presets, and I stumbled across this kid on YouTube. So this audiobook engineer is what he does for a living. And I was really surprised at the differences between the two professionals. So I employed both schools of thought for this preset in this video. Now, this is not for Audible, so the volume's going to be set for YouTube. The LUFS will be like 16 at a 1.8 or 1 point whatever peak value. And I'll use a gate or an expander. Very, very generous, very stingy on the expander. Very just enough to kiss the sky. And then I'll just do all my things. Now, the rock star, I think, of this whole chain I'm doing is I do compression first, and then I do an expander, then I do the EQ, the cuts, then I do a boost, and after that I limit and then use Soothe 2 for a DS, courtesy of Canada. Why do Canadians do everything perfectly? They do, though. Canadians do everything. They're so meticulous. I had a friend who rode BMX with me back in the day, and his family, well, they're from Canada, and they've since Americanized, but they still hold that. There's something so every Canadian I met, every fucking Canadian I met, they're so much more organized than me. Like everything has its place. Every nut, every bolt. Everything's so dialed. Maybe that's just the ones I've met, but it's fucking intimidating. Anyway, this is that chain. I like this sound. I'm coming in hotter on the 416 more than usual. There's no foam, no pop filter, just my blah blah. I'm at 47. Well, the audiobooks I'm at 44. So the audiobooks, I come in right around, I peak around 12. At pretty much the highest. And then when I EQ and do all my makeup gains, I'm like 9 after compression. So that's perfect. But for YouTube, I'm not really worried about audio quality for YouTube. I mean, I am. You always should be, but not like for Audible. And even Audible, as long as you have your noise floor a certain way, and as long as you have your volume just right, and it's not too loud or too quiet, by the way, you'll pass. It's pretty simple. More simple than I thought it would be. A booth helps tremendously, but you don't need one. Yeah, big time. All day today. Anyway, I wanted to just do a video here and just kind of see how this sounds for YouTube. Didn't get a whole lot of sleep. I'm almost on week 2 of intermittent fasting and no sugar at all, not even fruit. I gotta tell you, it feels good today, but the last 3 days have been just fucking brutal, and it feels good to be back on the horse, though. Whoops, my headphones have been in. I wonder if there was headphone bleed in that. We'll find out. I don't think there may not have been, but whenever I don't use my cans, I always fucking forget to unplug them. And guess what? There's headphone bleed. But I was having too much fun doing the video, so I'm not going to reshoot. I'll be able to hear. It's going to be an unlisted video anyway. Anyway, this is start to get back in shape feels good. Before I did this whole thing, coffee cup reflections, smart. I did this, I was sitting down on my bed and I was trying to put my shoes on. And you're getting fat when you're like, before you put your shoes on. And I was petting my dog and I was putting my phone up on the coffee table from the floor. It fell off and I literally felt my tit hit my bicep, like my bicep. My man boob was like hitting my bicep. And I looked at my reflection, and my TV was off, and I looked at my reflection, and I was like, I literally felt like a fat old man. And which is fine. I'm not a body shamed person. If I get big, I like being a big guy. I'm 6'1", I typically feel most comfortable about 220. Right now I'm like 255 or 260, I'm sure. Maybe a little less. Maybe I'm being hard on myself, but I realized that I started to go, I got a buddy somewhere. I'm not going to say where he lives because everybody will know who he is. But it's in the States, and let's just say the southwestern kind of area of the States. I went to high school with this guy. I grew up riding bikes with a guy. Beautiful man. Well, not really. Come to think of it, he's kind of a dick. Well, he was certainly a dick growing up. But he got softer, changed his ways, realized he was a prick and changed, I think. Maybe out of guilt, maybe out of fear, but anyway, he became less of a dick. And I think, anyway, I'm not going to get into his personal life, but anyway, I think people like him, or people like probably my dad, right? You get to a certain point, and you go two ways. There are two fuck it's in life. There's fuck it, I'm changing, or fuck it, fuck it. And I was at a fork in the road between fuck it and fuck it. And so what occurred to me was a few people in my life. I'm watching us all get older, and I've seen a few people in my life and in my travels that have really kind of given up. And I was going that way, and God bless them. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not judging them. But I just, I'm not ready to go gently into that good night. Fuck that. And it's got nothing to do with ego or wanting to look good or, I feel sexy, that bullshit. I just, I want to ride my bike more. I want to be able to do more pull-ups, push-ups. I want to be able, I want to be able to fuck again one day. I haven't, I could still do that. That's not an issue. But, what I mean is I want to be able to, turn her on, whoever the unlucky gal might be who lets me do that to her, but you want to be able to hang in there best you can. And I think right now, I'd be like, okay, hold on. let me take a break. Maybe not. I probably wouldn't even make it past the undressing stage at this point. It's been so long. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, I want to do a video, and just I'm not going to worry about the breaths and the. I heard a couple of really sharp inhales, like there's that, like really high when I breathed in during one of those. It didn't sound that good, but you get to a point where you really start to obsess and assess, and I think that for me, looking back on my life, it's been pretty badass. I mean, it's been rough. A lot of it's been fucking horrible. But a lot of it's been very free. And a lot of it's been it's been a fucking adventure for the most part. And a lot of it's been spent in a tiny room writing, or in a studio apartment, or the last few years have been spent in a booth reading. I don't want to sound like I knew a band one time in New York, and they had a song, and I remember one of the lyrics, and back when I was like 28, I thought it was kind of a cheesy lyric, but now that I'm older, one of the lines said, "It's been a long life without love, been a long life without lust," I mean, that's the second part's not an issue, but it can be a long life without that. And not that I'm worried about that. I get, I do plenty of things that make me happy. But, it's, you get older and you start to think about, where am I going? I might have 20 years left. I'm not sure. I'm in the third act. I'm 54. What am I going to do? What's this first world existential crisis? What's going to happen to me? Woe is me. But, on mornings like this, when I'm up to my cock in debt, worried about everything, how do I survive? It's the plight of the artist is fucking annoying. I should have beaten it by now. It's been long enough. I had it beat for a little while. I was living like a king, but now it's like living like a king. Now I'm living like a peasant. Well, I'm not. That's an insult to people like, in India, living in a field. Or, in Seattle, parts of Seattle, a fucking wretched hellhole that used to be awesome. Portland. A lot of places I've lived in, I've gone back through, and it just looks so god-awful, fucking horrible and sad, and just the state of, I don't know, I'm not going to get political, but just the state of I don't know. I hope things change. I really do. I don't know. But I just know that I'm trying to be hopeful about life these days, and it's not easy. But I think that that eating right has a huge part in that play. Eating right is probably for me has been 90% of my issue. 6 months on the road. Casey's breakfast burritos, fucking candy bars. I didn't really fall back down the soda hole. Which is great because that'll really inflate your ass. Soda is like growing up, like being a teenager, you're rubber. I've talked about this before, I think, but my friend and I were talking about what is the best Gen X breakfasts, and we were debating whether it was a Mountain Dew and a Caramello, a Pepsi and a Snickers, or a Milky Way and a 7-Up and a Milky Way, or whatchamacallit and a Jolt. I literally burned sugar my entire life up till like I got aware of it. And I had no idea, but all I know is I kind of miss those days. Like waking up, you could, back in like your 20s, you could fucking drink all night, smoke 2 packs of cigarettes, get it on with some hot little thing you worked with, whether she was a waitress or bartender or your boss or whatever. And then the next thing you knew, you were like, you woke up and you feel a little bit dinged, a little fucked up, but by noon you were fine. You were working and you were laughing about it, And now it's like, I was talking to a friend a few days ago and I was like, dude, if I have a shot, I'm done for 3 days or 2 days. If I have a shot in a beer, I might be okay depending on when I do it, but I always feel it the next day. I look back on that, the recklessness of youth, like George Bernard Shaw said, youth is wasted on the young. I'm not sure if I believe that, but, it's, because how can something be a waste if you're really unaware of it? It can be a waste to other people, but not to you. But I remember that. I remember being so reckless and like, I wonder like when you lose that, you know what I mean? When do you lose that edge? Is it age? Is it your body breaking down? Is it fear of death? Is it, you've been there and done it? Or one of my biggest theories is it's smartphones. It's smart technology. It's, it's, my phone, my fucking phone. I'm always on my phone. There's a condition. I was in Albuquerque when I moved there in 2015, and there was a chiropractor down the street from my house, and he had a sign that said, "We fix tech neck." And I actually met the guy. I was walking my dogs, and I go, "Hey, what the fuck is tech neck?" He goes, "Oh, dude, it's a condition. It's like when you have your head down on your phone, you put like 30 cubic pounds of pressure or whatever he meant, on your neck, and get that hump, or you just get sore." So Since that conversation, I'm really aware of how I posture myself on my phone. Because I started to notice, you know how when you buy a car, you don't notice that how many cars like yours are out there, right? If you buy like a Honda Civic, you see a lot of Honda Civics because you're aware of them. And this is every time since that conversation, I was watching people. They're on their fucking phones and their heads are down and they're down, And I was like, oh shit, I think I've been one of those people. I know I'm getting old, but see, I knew I was getting old. Let me tell you when I knew I was getting old in Seattle. I was it was like 2013, and I was in my car, and I stopped this. I hit a crosswalk, and I think school was getting out, and I think it was it junior college or was it high school? I don't know. I don't think it was. It might have been one of the two, but there were these girls walking by my car. I think it was a college. They were walking by my car, and they were like half naked, like belly shirts, butts hanging out, ample, giant breasts bouncing, and they're on their phones and they're giggling and they're walking and they're half naked. And it was about school was almost out or college or whatever. I don't want to sound like Humbert here, but red-blooded male. It wasn't like I mean they were women, young women. Goddamn it. So, but they were walking, and I wasn't thinking, oh, I'd like to blah 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 blah. And I think I was like in my late 30s when this happened. No, wait, I was in my early 40s. Yeah, early 40s. 2013, I said, 2012. Maybe it was 9 or 10. It doesn't matter, 2009 or 10. Maybe it was. Anyway, point I'm making is, I'm seeing these half-naked girls, and I'm not a parent. I raised a couple of kids that were mine that came with a relationship, But, I was watching these girls, and I wasn't thinking to myself, oh, I like to blah, blah, blah. I was thinking, how could her father let her leave the house like that? When I had that thought, I was like, one, good for you. You're not a fucking scumbag. And two, you're getting old, buddy. You're getting old. And it's weird because I'm not even attracted to that whole part of life, that aging part. Like, I see a lot of my friends that are my age that are just so fucking fucked up. I was in West Seattle once, and I was walking past this shitty record store, and I used to be a roommate with this dude when I was like, I don't know, 24, 25 in West Seattle. And here we go. Dave, if you see this, I'm sorry, but you probably won't. And my buddy was a cook downtown, and we were crazy before, we were fucking psychopaths. We would go all night, and holy fuck, we were machines. We would hit the bar, we'd wake up drinking, we'd go out, and he, at the time, he married his then girlfriend, who I thought was awesome. They were a great couple. And anyway, long story quicker, fast forward about, 20 some years, and I'm walking down California Avenue in West Seattle, and I see this kid out in front of this record store, and he's a fucking spitting image. He could have been born from this dude's ass. He looked just like his dad. I knew who he was. I didn't even have to fucking ask him what his dad's name was, but I did. I go, hey, what's your dad's name? And he's Dave. I go, oh, where is he? He's inside. You want to meet? I go, no, I know him. I do want to see him though. But he came out and saw me, and we freaked out. We hugged it out, and it was this beautiful moment. And he was, and that just in that part of town, they call it the island, but it's not. But he was in West Seattle for the afternoon with this boy, and I didn't like lead on to anything. I didn't want to be rude to the guy, but it was really sad. He was like super fat, just bald, wrinkly. He looked like the kid's grandfather. And typically when you have a friend like my buddy in Phoenix, who still looks to me like he did in the third grade, even though he looks like Don Rickles now, but I still see that inner, that there's a vibrant part of him that still shines through. But Dave was so defeated. I go, Dave, how's it going? He's like, dude, you look great. I'm like, yeah, you too. But we were talking, and I looked a lot better back then. I did. In my defense, I did. So anyway, we probably felt better too. Probably way less fucking stressed. God damn. But anyway, so we went out, and his boy went back home alone. They took the car, and he said, come get me later. I'm gonna hang out with Jeff and get a beer. We're nursing beers. You might as well put a fucking nipple on it, And so we were talking about life. So anyway, fucking, he had 2 kids. The other one was with the mom somewhere, and wife divorced him, fucking cheated on him, lost their house, big beautiful house by Lake Union, and now he's in an apartment over on Capitol Hill. And he's like a manager for some shitty place, like in some auto store. Not a shitty job, not a shitty place, but compared to what he did, he lost it all. He went crazy. And, he was a chef. He lost that job. He said, I just gave up. And I have an apartment, and I had this 3-car garage, this big, beautiful home. And, so anyway, the point of the story was, he wasn't eating right for sure, and he was still drinking. I mean, I was nursing the beer. I think he was probably on his 4th before we left. I gave him a ride home, and his kiddo, I'm like, I'll take your dad home. Don't worry about it, But it was sad, and but he, and the fork in the road, he said, fuck it, and he took the pejorative fuck it, and not the inspired fuck it. So it was a sad time for me, but also a great time for me. We exchanged numbers, and we lost touch eventually. I mean, I wonder if that was psychology though on his part too, because he asked me, did you get married or have kids? And I said, no, I didn't. Came close one time to almost being engaged, but I said I didn't marry her. I think I had my longest girlfriend was 4 years, the longest relationship. But it wasn't because I was against that model of life. I was always moving, boom, boom, boom. Papa was a renting stone. I would just go to places. I go, yeah, like I do now. I rent places. I'll stay. Sometimes now I'll stay longer. I'll stay for 2-3 years. But I'm trying to break that pattern because I really want to find a place I want to stay. And my favorite city in the world is Los Angeles. I just love Los Angeles. I know people say it's this, it's that, and it is this and that. It's all that shit. But there's a grit, and there's a reality, and there's a life there. And what I mean by Los Angeles, I don't mean Wilshire and, fucking Hollywood and the Sunset. I mean Venice. When I lived in Venice, I didn't go east of Lincoln. I stayed right there. Unless I went to Ralph's for groceries. And I crossed Lincoln, reluctantly, because everything's right there. You wake up and you walk that promenade, or you get a beach cruiser and you pedal up to Santa Monica and back, and you're addicted to it. It's a beautiful lifestyle. I haven't been there since, 2015. I had a blast there, and I will get back there, but it's expensive. So I made this resolve. Coffee. I'm going dry. I made this resolve. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save for a year. Maybe I'll get this job I'm trying to go for. Maybe I'll book a bunch of audiobooks. Maybe I won't. But I'm going to save for a year. I think I'm going to move to, I know I'm going to move to LA. Los Angeles. I would never call it LA until I got older. But that was my only bitch about Dirty Harry. When I watched Dirty Harry and he called San Francisco Frisco, people fucking hate that. The locals, they used to hate it anyway, but you call San Francisco Frisco, they just know you're a total fucking douchebag. Or you're just a tourist or a poser. Poser. I like poser best. My buddy in Phoenix, I was in my car one day and I was driving to Fry's or Safeway, whichever one I was going to. And I looked in my rear view and he had written poser in the dust on my rear windshield, my rear window. It just said poser, and I thought that was so fucking classic. And people were passing me much better than my buddy in Denver, who I left there after a journalist job back in like 2000, somewhere 2001 or 2000. Maybe it was 2002. Anyway, I was driving and there was such a typical moment, so fucking par for the course in my life. But I drove by and there was, I was like, I think I was 29, 30, almost 30. And yeah, wait, no. It was like 2000, it might have been 2004. No, so I was almost 40. No, it was 34, whatever, 33, 34, 35. I forget now. God damn it. How old was I? Well, oh yeah, I was like in my early 30s. Who cares? I think it was like 2000. It was 2000, I don't know, 5 maybe. Now I'm tortured. It was early 2000s, put it that way. I don't know why I'm struggling to remember this time. I'm struggling for this time frame. Anyway, so I was in Denver doing a job for a magazine overseas. I was a journalist for like 4 years. They paid me to travel and write stories and interview people. But the funny part was I didn't get more work because of the interviews. In fact, it was my least favorite part. And also probably their favorite part. They'd been through it enough. But I built a story around the interview, and the readers really took to it, and they gave me a full-time job. And so until they folded, I had a blast. And Denver was one of the jobs. And I stayed with these burnouts, these potheads, and they were still friends of mine. But when I left there to go to the next job, I think I went to Portland, Oregon. This one of them, Cotton was his name. That was his real name, Joe Cotton. I was leaving, and on the side mirror of my Mazda MPV minivan, he wrote, "I love," not "I love," it was even worse. He wrote, "I enjoy cock," with an arrow pointing to the driver's seat. And I was driving by this girl on the freeway, and she was looking at me and smiling and giggling, and I was like, "Oh, you still got it, old man. You still got it." Even back then, I was thinking that. And I get out, and she's like laughing. She can't stop like smiling at me and waving, and I'm like, and I'm like, all right, it's gonna be a good year. And then I get to a gas station, and I get out, and I'm getting my coffee, and I walk into my car, a lot of pep in my step now. I'm like, oh, she was so cute, and and I go to my driver's door, I look at it, and if you ever seen like the movie Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeve, which is probably my favorite movie, one of my favorite movies, I mean, for that era. It's a love story with him and my childhood crush, Jane Seymour. And if you've never seen it, Christopher Reeve plays a playwright, and he's obsessed over this painting. And it's been parodied in many of like comedies, like American Dad parodied this, but there's a painting he's obsessed over, and that the way this woman's looking in the painting, he has to have her, and he's obsessed over it. It's like way back in the 1800s, I think. So hang on. So what happened was he figured out a way to go back to that time frame. He wore like I think South Park also did this for an episode, but he put he wore the suit of the time, and he had to get to that moment when she was looking at him. I just blew it, but anyway. So he goes back in time to the 1800s, and so what happens is the picture he liked, he met the painting he liked, the portrait of her. He met her eventually, fell in love, and so when he walked in and saw her getting her portrait painted, she looked at him and smiled, and that was what he saw in the future. And he went back. So how he got there was he laid down, meditated, and had the suit on. But at the end, when they were hanging out, what happened was he pulled this penny from his pocket, and it was like 19 something. And he went, "No," and he freaked out, and the camera pulled back, and it took him to back in time. And because the very beginning of the movie, this really old, shriveled up lady walked into one of his rehearsal parties for one of his plays, I think, and she kissed him and said, "Come back to me." And I was so fucking sad, and she walked out. And because she had lived long enough to, because he told her what happened and shit. So, back then. And so, anyway, it was a very sad ending. And he died. He just stared out the window, old in a wheelchair, and just fucking kicked off because he died of a broken heart. But when I saw that I enjoy cock on my side window, I felt like that, like I pulled that penny out of my suit, and I was like, no, because she wasn't smiling at me. She wasn't turned on by me. She was laughing because I enjoy cock, and I was like, he got me. He got me. I can't, it's fair. All is fair. A joke does not go too far unless somebody dies, and he got me, and I had to respect that, and I have never, ever got my revenge. So, Joe Cotton, if you're watching this, you motherfucker, I didn't forget. I'm gonna get you one day, now that I remember the story. But yeah, anyway, but the point of this is I started seeing myself going down that same road that Dave went down. And we all age. We can't fight it. It's, you can't fight it naturally. You can fight it expensively, but then you look like a freak. I've never seen one convincing piece of plastic surgery. Never once. I've never seen one convincing piece of plastic surgery. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not going to go down that road because I think I've babbled long enough. This video was going to be just a quick check-in, but it became a lot of blah, blah, blah. Thank you for listening. If I send this to you, and I'm sorry. And anyway, hope all is well with you today and things go your way. I will talk to you in the brand new video. And as always, take good care.